your daily how-to. Are you ready for this? Today, we're going to talk about binding. Isn't that exciting? Yay for binding. All right, so Heather, could you make sure that iron is on? Sometimes it turns off on its own. Okay, so binding. Let's talk about a few principles of binding, and then I'm going to show you this really cool tool that is going to make your life as a quilter so much easier and a lot more fun. Are you ready for this? Okay, so let's talk for a minute just about a few principles of binding, okay, if we can. I got to get more of this quilt. This is much prettier. There we go. Than Mr. Les Olson over there. Okay. So, when it comes to binding, there are we can do, you know, some people say bias binding or straight grain binding. And so I want to talk to you through just some of the pros and cons, and if you have some ideas you would like to add to that, I would love to hear from you as well. So oftentimes I will get asked, do you always do binding on the bias? And my answer is no. Actually, most of the time I do it on the straight of grain. But I will tell you the times when I do cut binding on the bias. And that would be, let's say if I have curves. For sure, if I had a scalloped border binding, or if I was going around in curves on a binding, for sure I would do a bias binding. Okay. Another reason why I might do bias binding would be because I want the diagonal to be, or the print, I should say, to be on the diagonal. So that would be another reason. For example, stripes. Stripes are so cute when they're done. Well, they're done. I love stripes regardless, but when they are done on the diagonal, let's say you have a red and white stripe, which would be super cute for Christmas, it would be adorable to have it going on the diagonal because it gives more of the look of a candy cane. So in order to get that look, you want to do it on the bias. People will say that bias is actually stronger. So if you are you know, doing a quilt that is going to be drug around a lot, laundered a lot, all of that, that would be another reason why I would do, you know, binding on the bias. But the thing about bias is it sometimes makes people nervous of cutting it up and how to properly do that, and that's for another day. We're actually not going to, I'm not going to show you about cutting on the bias today, but I do have another 3 at 3, I believe. Maybe it was even before 3 at 3. My goodness, we've been doing this for so long, I can't remember. I might have to do another one where I show you how to cut on the bias. But let's talk about straight grain. What are the reasons why you'd want to do straight grain? Well, first of all, it's a little bit easier to cut. It's a little bit more straightforward, you know, for cutting. You are not using as much fabric. It's perfect for being able to do, you know, the just a straight binding would be a straight grain binding. Any other reasons why you can think of one versus the other? Anyone out there? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Kenzie said, I was talking to my husband and all of a sudden he stopped, looked at the time and said, you're missing 3 things at 3. Your husband's awesome, Kenzie. Love him. All right. Anyone else have any suggestions or reasons why you would do one versus the other? So again, mostly if you're doing like curves, if you want a little bit stronger binding, if you want a pattern on the diagonal, those would be reasons why you would do that. Okay, so then the next question comes to be, what do you usually cut your binding strips at? Do you cut 2 1/2? Do you cut 2 1/4? And usually my personal go-to is 2 1/4. I just like a little bit smaller binding. The average, most people do 2 1/2. So either way, it doesn't matter. It's totally a personal preference for you. When attaching binding, the question will come up with, should I sew these pieces? I've got 2 strips of binding. Should I sew them together from short end to short end? Or do I do it on as a, like you know, perpendicular to each other like this. And I always do perpendicular because I will sew from outside edge to outside edge. Okay, so right here, outside edge to outside edge, and then I will trim it. And the reason why I like that is because it actually, you know, it extends the seam, and so you don't have a lot of bulk in one place. It's evenly distributed across the diagonal. All right. 2.5-inch binding preferred with diagonal seam. Interesting. And you like the crisscross. Yep, Sherry, absolutely. So here we go. So that is how I do it. And again, I sew outside edge to outside edge, and then you trim it off. We'll do another day on how to join the ends of binding. Okay. Let me think. What else did I want to say about binding before I show you my demo? Okay, Kenzie has a question. What seam allowance do you sew the binding on your quilt? I actually do a 1/4 inch on mine. I have some friends who do 3/8 of an inch. So again, it would be something that you would play around with, see what you like, what you prefer, what you have the best experience with. But mine is always, I always just do a 1/4 inch. Okay, you're going to sew to the 1/4 inch at the corner, and then when you start again, you start at the top rather than the 1/4 inch. Yeah, Lynn says she likes the angle because it reduces the bulk. Absolutely. And Teresa said, and most of the time it camouflages the seam. Yeah, exactly. That's very true too. When you've got one seam that's going straight down, it's, you know, it's a lot easier to see than something that's going at a diagonal. So lots of different ways of thinking, lots of different schools of thought. And so yeah, let's see. Sherry said, you know what happens to me at the end? I get confused which way to finish it off, and I have to rip it out at least once. Yeah, I totally understand that, Sherry. You know, I have a whole entire class on binding that's found inside the club. So those of you who are club members, or if you're not a club member and you're interested in joining, I have a whole series of videos just about binding, and we talk about scalloped binding. We talk about, you know, binding. What do you do when you have different angles, that it's not formed at a 90-degree angle, but maybe you have like a table runner that has, you know, 60-degree angles or 30-degree angles. How do you compensate for that? How do you compensate for angles that go in, so that maybe you have a runner that comes in and then back out? You know, there's a lot of different ways to do that. So it's all in the club. You can find lots of binding lessons and tutorials on that. But oh good, Tana says she just watched that video and it was great. Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. And yeah, so there you'll find all different themes. I'm trying to think what else is on there. Oh, flange binding, how to do binding with Minky, all of that. But what I want to share with you today is this really cool tool. And if you have been with me for a comment sold sale, you have seen me demonstrate this tool. And I was trying to think about what I wanted to show today, and I realized, you know what? I have not showed the greatest invention ever made to my 3 at 3 group yet. I've only showed this on a comment sold sale. So for those of you who have never been on our comment sold sales, let me introduce you to the binding ease. Okay, how many of you already have one of these because you picked it up from one of our comment sold sales on Facebook? They are amazing. And I'll tell you, and I'm going to show you why I love it so much. But as you know, most of the time we're cutting 2.5-inch strips or 2 1/4, whatever it might be. And what we do is we fold it in half with the wrong sides together. and we have to press all the way down. Okay, so let's say you have a really long binding for a big entire quilt. It takes a lot of pressing, right, to be able to fold it over and press, and then you're finagling with it and pulling it over and pressing, and then you might burn your hands and all that. Well, let me introduce you to this wonderful tool that's going to be your new best friend, because it is, a lot of you say you just got yours. Yay, 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 I'm so glad. And some of you are saying got it, love it. Yep. And some of you got it but haven't used it yet. Oh, I'm so excited to be able to share this, because, well, one of the reasons why I love this first and foremost is that it is a tool that was created by someone just like you and me. Okay, Susan and Michelle are sisters, and they live here in Utah. Whoop whoop. And they created this iron rest that is not just an iron rest. Okay, a lot of us have seen iron rests. However, this is an iron rest that has like 2 little belt loops in it. And let me tell you why this is so cool. So, one, created by someone just like you and me, like I said, and I always love that, and I love to support people who are creating new products. And you know where this comes from? It's because they see a need that is out there and they fill that need, right? So cool. And so I'm really excited for these ladies for creating this. But the other thing I love about it is it's not just an iron rest, my friends. This is going to serve as your way of being able to fold your binding in half and press it all at the same time, just like that. So I grabbed some fabric here, which is a 2.5-inch strip. And I'm going to pull you over. Let's say hi to Les in the background. There we go. Here's my Just Sew t-shirt. There we go. And let me get you situated here so you can see this easily. Okay, it's going to take just a second. Oh, there. Ah, ha, 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 this way. Oh, perfect. Okay, boom. We're done. Okay, so let me go grab my iron. Sorry. Is Siri having issues over there? So it's going to serve as an iron rest, and you're going to put your iron right smack down in the middle. But before you do that, you're going to take your 2.5-inch strip, pull it under one of these belt loops. I call them belt loops. I don't know what the ladies call them. And then we're just folding it in half, and then I'm going to bring it under this second little belt loop. Okay, so it's folded perfectly in half. I just got it started. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my iron, and I am not going to do anything else with my iron. This iron is going to sit and rest on this while I pull this through. So let's take a look at how that works. Oh, hold on. My iron just shut off. Okay, so I'll give it just a minute to warm up. You know, I love irons that shut up. Shut up. Oh my goodness. Okay. I love irons that shut up. They're wonderful. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love irons that shut off to help me when I forget. However, it really ticks me off in the moment when I need it and it's already shut off, right? Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Let me answer some questions while that warms up. Pam asked, what is it called so we can order it, please? It is called Binding Ease, and it's on our website. So, in fact, I've got a deal for you today on it. It's the same deal I offer to our comments sold sales. So, for those of you who already have it, no worries. It's not any less than what you paid for it, but it is on sale. Normally $29.95. It's on sale for $24.95. I'm never gonna forget that. The iron that needs to shut up. Sheesh. My goodness. Oh, Kinsey says another hashtag has been made.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I am filled with hashtags. It's ridiculous. We should put all the hashtags on a t-shirt. How about that? Poop the hoop. Shut up the iron. What else have I said that's so dumb? I don't know.
I don't know. We should go back and watch.
We should go back. No, I don't want to watch. I don't want to go back and watch. Add that to the bloopers, Jennifer says. Okay, is the iron on? Okay, we are good. Woo! Thank heavens. Okay, let's get this party going. Okay, so you can see right here, I'm just placing my iron. Look, Mom, hands free. No hands. Okay, and this is a little bit more lightweight, so what's probably going to happen is it's probably going to scoot over a little bit, but that's okay. See how it kind of scooted on me? If I had a heavier weight iron, it would just stick there in the middle, but no big deal because it has this little thing here that's going to hold it to the side. Again, notice I've got a hot iron on this, my friends. This will actually take up to 450 degrees, I believe, for a few hours, even if I wanted to leave it on there. But not with this iron because it's going to shut off on me. So I don't have to worry about that. Okay. All right. You ready? Okay. On your marks. Get set. Go. There we go. Look at that.
Wow, that's cool.
Ta-da. It's just coming right through.
So then you don't burn your fingers.
No, I'm not going to burn my fingers. And talk about fast, fast, fast. Can you imagine trying to... Well, you can imagine because it's the way we've always done it, right? We've always just folded over and tried to press, and all I'm doing is pulling this right through, and it just stays. Ooh, that is a little bit hot as it goes through. But here we go. Ta-da!
Wow.
Look at that. Is that amazing or what? And look, my iron is still there. I'm not worried about it. It's going to be just fine sitting there. It's an iron rest, and it's a silicone mat that withstands the heat. So again, I can use it as an iron rest when I'm doing things, and I can also use it as a fast, efficient way of doing all that binding. Again, imagine if you had a ton of it, just slicks right through. Swoosh, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Okay, that's it. That is it, my friends. How easy is that? It didn't harm this at all. And there you have it. So simple. So again, I love the idea. I've always loved iron rests. I think they're pretty awesome, and we've seen them popping up here and there for a while now. But to take it one step further and put in these little loops so that you can pull your binding through, that's called genius, my friends. Absolute genius. So if you have an iron that, you know, needs a rest like this, this is perfect for it. But let's say for those of you who have an Oliso iron that automatically pops up, there's a little mechanism on there that you can actually keep it down all the time. Maybe some of you may not have known that, but you can do that and have the ability to be able to keep it down the whole time. Again, you're just putting it through and you're pulling it through. It just could not be any easier. Okay, now I'm going to put it back in its real spot. There we go. That is my cordless Panasonic iron that I absolutely love, but sometimes it's a little stinker when it turns off when I don't want it to. All right, what do you guys think about it? Let's see. Oh, that's a good question. Will bias binding get stretched with this method? I don't know. To be honest, I can't imagine that it would be too much, and especially bias is meant to stretch anyway, so I think you'd be just fine.